This looks a lot like old Daytona, to where they would string out just a little bit, not to where they're all packed up, and they just cars could get a run, cars could go by guys.
Following is a production of the garage area.
All right, welcome into the garage area after we've watched the Atlanta race on Saturday night, where Ryan's boy Chase Elliott ended up coming through and getting the win. We got several things to talk about. One, everybody's buzzing about this race, talking about how great a race it was. I'm curious to know your thoughts on that. But let's start with the biggest topic, and that is our picks. Somehow I have clawed out of this hole that I was in. How many points behind? Only history knows to how far back I was from you. But much like Brad Keselowski, I have an ill-timed pass for the lead, as you now get the first pick going into the Chicago Street Course and can now select Shane Van Gisbergen, which is everybody's first pick when you go to the Chicago Street Course. But I did have Brad Keselowski. He did finish second, so close to the win, although he didn't end up pulling it off, unfortunately. And you had Joey Logano, who finished like, I don't know,
36.
343rd or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, a ways back there. And what? How many points did I make up this week then?
Oh, you were only down 6. Now you're up by 30.
Well, I was only down six. I thought I was down 30 something.
No, you were only down 6 after last week. So
Oh, I had no idea I was that after last week. That's awesome.
yeah,
I'm up 40 now.
up 30.
Up 30. Are you going to like start trying?
Yeah,
What happened? You fell off a cliff here,
I had a couple of picks that were more heartfelt than probably skill, and you had
especially this
four
past.
straight top two finishes, and
Yeah, it's I've been on a heater here lately. You should know better than to pick Joey Logano at a racetrack like that because he's gonna run really well and then finish really bad. That's just how it always goes for him.
well, he won the last time I picked him there, so which
But
was last fall, I thought, or last
last spring had
spring.
no, because he didn't win till Kansas. Kansas, no. What race did they have 100 different overtime finishes last year?
That was Iowa, I think,
Yeah, was it Nashville?
or Nashville, maybe it was. Yeah, that was probably it. One of the
I don't
two.
remember.
But
Yeah, because
I
I
am
thought
most
Blaney
certain
won.
I picked him to win at Atlanta. I thought, and he won it, but I could be mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Either way, I know that he's won Atlanta in this specific style of racetrack, but I can't remember if that was last year or not.
It must have been 2 years ago.
Could have been. But I know that he beat Brad 2 springs ago, maybe something like that. He had the Auto Trader car. I remember that. Anyways, um, didn't get a good finish. Got caught up in the big melee. Was that the end of the first stage or the beginning of the second stage?
I want to say beginning of the second stage.
Yeah, because that's what kind of got the track position all shuffled up there.
Yeah.
Cindric ended up winning the first stage. Who won the second stage?
Reddick.
Reddick won the second stage,
That
and
was
then
like the
Chase
photo
Elliott.
finish, whatever they had there.
Oh yeah, that's right, with him and Elliott.
Yeah.
And then Elliott ends up winning the race. Who had the fastest lap award?
John Hunter Nemechek.
Really? I wouldn't
Yeah.
have guessed that. Wasn't paying that close attention to that particular spot. Um, excuse me. Yeah, so I guess this is kind of our time to put our rating on it. It boy, it raced better than I anticipated it would, and it reminded me of something that I've seen in the past. Can you guess what it is?
Um, I don't know, an old school restrictor plate.
It reminded me of well, yes, you're basically right. I don't want to
Yeah.
drag this out. But my first thought was this looks a lot like old Daytona, to where they would string out just a little bit, not to where they're all packed up, and they just cars could get a run, cars could go by guys, and it wasn't you weren't so dependent on having to have somebody push you past the dirty air bubble and get out into the clean stuff. It was the ability to build runs even on your own and pass on your own and not have to have somebody help you the whole way up through there. So that was cool to see. I enjoyed that. And I do wish that the rest of our bigger super speedway racetracks were raced more like this. And that's disappointing if they don't, but that's just kind of this position that we're in at the moment. What is it about this package? Do you know that kind of I don't want to say it eliminates the dirty air factor, but it doesn't seem to be as big a deal.
Well, I think for one, I it just one the cars are slowed down more with the restrictor plate, so I think maybe a little less speed um, makes less air effect. Two, I think the it's a lot more momentum based, so they like to run the high side, but cars that make are going for the pass get the momentum run the low line, which is out of the wake of the front car too. So you could see times where the leader would run a lane down or two or whatever to get in the wake of cars, which did affect the handling. But once these guys got big enough runs down either the front stretch or the back stretch, they just couldn't block it, which allowed for a lot of passing. Um, I was That's just kind of how I saw it.
Did you enjoy the race?
I surprisingly enjoy. I mean, I expected it to be better than what we had been watching, um, albeit seeing how Chase won, I enjoyed it a little bit more. But I felt like these guys had, obviously a lot of the big guys got taken out in that wreck, but in the end, it felt like the guys that you would expect up front on a restrictor plate style track like this could control their own destiny, be up front. You had a couple of the RFK cars. You expect them to be up front in restrictor plate. Of course, Hendrick cars like Chase Elliott. I consider him a good restrictor plate driver, especially in the sixth gen car. So much you can't hardly tell with the seventh gen. With everybody gets locked up two by two at the end of these races, but um, it just felt like some of the guys you expect up front of these races could control their own destiny for once. And as much as I like rather see Atlanta as a normal mile and a half and not half of this restrictor plate gimmick type deal, if you count it as a restrictor plate race, is kind of what you hope to see at other tracks.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. That was kind of my same perspective. Um, so what do you give it for a rating then?
Um, I'm going 8.5. Had that.
Hmm.
Some restrictor plateness with like that big wreck took a lot of guys out and stuff. I think it could have been a little bit more exciting if had some of those players stayed in it. But for what I was expecting, I thought it was pretty great.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8. Where does that rank on your races for the year? Is it the highest rated one for you?
Trying to think. I think I may have had Coda a little bit higher. I had Coda at a 9 when they had like the
Okay.
four-way race for the lead there at the end. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I think I probably might have had the All-Star race higher than this, but yeah, I think an 8's a very fair evaluation
you actually
for
had
this
the first
particular race.
Atlanta at a 9.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Wow. Huh. Okay. What did you have the first Atlanta at?
Huh?
What did you have the first Atlanta rated at?
I had it 8.
Okay, so I mean, it's putting on a good racing
Yeah.
compared to our metrics here in the garage area. Um, yeah, I got nothing to complain about other than exactly what you said. That big wreck that happened at the beginning of stage two is kind of a disappointment because it took out, I guess, the people that I wanted to see race were the old school guys that would have raced on that style of Daytona. I'm thinking of the Joey Logano, the Brad Keselowski, the Denny Hamlin, the guys like that that have been around a little while. The Kyle Busch, um, guys that would have known how to race at that type of racetrack and were good at it, and just seeing how that all played out had they been able to stay in it and been up there. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., a guy that hit the wall, had damage on his car. He was at least a lap down, I think, at one point, and he came back to finish somewhere up front. I'm not sure exactly where he landed.
I guess I don't have the results pulled up.
Oh, that's okay. But I know that he ended up running well there at the end. Um, Somebody else was it Hocevar came from 2 laps down at one point in the race.
He was at least one lap down. I don't know if he was quite two or not. But
Yeah, there's some of these guys they ended up getting behind pretty far and ended up back in relative contention there at the end. You like to see stuff like that take place and have the structural integrity of the car not matter as much as it does at other racetracks, which is wild to say, being that this is a restrictor plate style racetrack. Who ended up leading the most laps? Do you know?
mm, I want to say it was Brad, but I haven't.
It doesn't feel like there was any one person up front for the whole race. There was a lot of passing,
Joey Logano led
and I don't feel like
51. He led the most. And then Chase led 41, Brad led 46, and Bowman led 32. So, I mean, it was pretty spread out between like four or five drivers there. So, nobody like fully dominated, but yeah,
yeah, it as a Logano fan, it does disappoint me that he was crashed out when he was because it looked like he was going to have that car to just kind of keep it up front and do his thing. But what else is new? He gets wrecked all the time at these. In the past, it was a lot of his own doing, and now it's just kind of it seems like the last couple or 3 years, it's kind of just been the luck of the draw and the way that things played out. Speaking of luck, did you see the way that Kyle Larson missed that wreck, that big wreck?
yeah.
Did you see the onboard footage of his car?
I did not see the onboard. No.
Oh, it was incredible. It was like check up, go high, go low, go middle, 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 high, low, low. And when the smoke all cleared, he's like, okay, well, it looks like we made it through. It was pretty incredible. Uh, but yeah, I think the part that where luck doesn't factor in is how you saw the guys that you would expect to be good, like the Brad Keselowskis, like the Chase Elliottts, like the Ricky Stenhouse Juniors, and others just have themselves a position up front for most of the evening. Um, it stuck out to me that there was guys, especially in the middle of 3 and 4, that just seemed to lose it on their own up there in that middle of the high lane. It just seemed kind of weird to me that it was in that same spot. What did you think of that?
um, yeah, I don't know. I know turn four at most tracks are usually kind of the treacherous part coming off the corner. Um, I know one time like Daytona was that way. I know the Hendrick cars had trouble with Daytona at turn four for a while. I don't know if it's just the way the track opens up to the front straightaway or um, I really don't have a much more of an answer than that.
Yeah, it just seemed kind of odd because you didn't really see it off two. It was all off of four that these guys just started to come around and couldn't get it stopped.
Yeah.
I don't know, just kind of weird. Um, the wreck took out a bunch of, excuse me, a bunch of big names in the bracket challenge. How's your bracket doing after that?
Yeah, I think I have three guys left.
I haven't even looked at mine. I don't know what the issue is. I had trouble getting mine to even fill out, and you ended up having to do it for me. Um, to get it all entered into NASCAR's website, but I have no idea what my bracket looks like. I had William Byron winning the whole thing, and he was wrecked, so I don't know where I'm at now.
I thought I clicked Chase Elliott, but when I hit submit and it popped up, it said I had Larson as champion, so that just well, he's out. So um I have Chase Elliott as in the final and he's still alive. That's about my only hope of doing anything, but
Hmm.
whatever, it doesn't really matter much anymore. So
Well, that's the thing. Do you like? I don't know. I filled out the bracket just because it was like felt like something you should do as a NASCAR fan. I don't know. It just was kind of odd that it's just such an odd string of racetracks to have a bracket matchup like this because it's not like a basketball tournament like March Madness or something like that where it's this basketball team is going against this basketball team on a basketball court. Like that's you can say that the moments are bigger and the sites are neutral and things like that. A bunch of different factors into who might upset the other. But this is literally like it doesn't even compare because you're not going to the same racetrack every week. You're not having the same setup every week. It's guys that have strengths and weaknesses. And again, like at Atlanta, the big luck of the draw if you get caught up in a giant wreck. And I don't know. It just seems like an odd string. I get the timing, but it just seems like an odd string of racetracks to set up a bracket challenge like this.
Yeah. When you do like a basketball bracket, each team is lined up by their seeding, of course, and skill level, and you're making your picks based on which team you think is better, this and that. And for one, the way they did the seeding for the cup cars or these guys, it was based off of last three race finishes, which isn't really enough of a sample size to give a true seeding. Um, Second, you go to a racetrack that, um, although we argued that more skill played a hand in it, um, it also produces a lot of luck of falling out where guys who are more skilled would have finished higher had they not got caught up in someone else's incident. Um, that's going to happen at any racetrack, but the likelihood at like Atlanta is far greater. Um, you could make the argument of like you just say regular mile and a halves and maybe some short track ovals, maybe one road course or something in there. You can gauge a driver's road course skill and you know match them up and put them through the bracket. But it just starting off with the luck of the draw and then like two road courses and I don't remember what else was Dover one of them. And
Yeah, and
Dover was,
Indianapolis.
I mean, it was all right that it's there, but it just then they go to Indianapolis. Like the final two races, I think are probably the most normal of the rest of them. So
Yeah,
um, I mean, it is what it is, I guess. But just the Atlanta one just doesn't make sense to me.
yeah. Even the road courses don't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, it's a Chicago street course in Sonoma.
Yeah.
I don't know. Uh, Not gonna complain about it. Just gonna play along, have fun, and lose. And uh, that's pretty much what's happened so far. Um, I guess I don't have a ton else that I was going to talk about in this race. Um, the Chase Elliott win, I think we were all expecting it at some point. I think that we kind of probably expected it before now. When Ryan Blaney won at Nashville, it felt like, okay, this could open the floodgates. I think we even said that on the show. Do you feel like with Chase Elliott winning that this could open the floodgates and that it becomes a true championship contender off this win?
Um, I would say I would say yes, just kind of based on the last 3 weeks in a whole, because he finished third at Mexico. I believe he finished third also at Pocono. No, he finished third. I think he was fourth or fifth at Pocono, and uh then he wins this race. So it's not like he's just running up front, or he didn't just get an Atlanta win at a super speedway win. Um, you know, I listened to Denny earlier, and he seemed to also say that the best handling car won the race at Atlanta. Like he believed it was the best driver in the car also won. So I think that a team as a whole has stepped it up the last few weeks. Top finishing Hendrick driver, I believe, the last 3 weeks also. So um, I expect to see better out of him from here on out. Hopefully, um, I think he's on the upward trend.
Yeah, in short, I don't. I don't necessarily think that he's I agree with you that he's running better, but I don't see him ripping off a bunch of wins now. Like I agree that the momentum's building. I think that he's going to have some good runs. I think he's really running fast right now, but I don't anticipate that being like I think we're just seeing a peak at the moment. And I don't say that just to insult you and your driver. I just think that's the trajectory of the nine team at the moment. And very well could be wrong, and you could be right that this is just they're heading in the right direction and they're going to stay climbing. That's very possible. But I guess I don't feel as strongly that he's going to be consistently good and contend for wins like I felt Blaney would after you won at Nashville. Um, Speaking of guys that needed wins, Brad Keselowski needed one pretty bad. Um, had a fast car, ran up front, led some laps, and had the lead there at the end when Elliott got the big run and got by him. I'm sure that you've seen the finish more than once. I've seen it more than once. I felt like Brad needs to win this race. Like checkers or wreckers. He needs to win a race to get into the playoffs. Second place does nothing for him. I feel like he potentially could have thrown a bigger block on Elliott when he was trying to pass him for the lead, and I think he definitely could have thrown a bigger block on Bowman when he was trying to regain his momentum after Elliott passed him. What did you think about that?
Um, I don't know what. I mean, Chase got inside of him pretty quickly going into one. I thought, um, it was no, I think either way, if it had Brad started his block earlier, I think Chase would have darted back to the outside and got him on it. I've seen him do it a couple times where he got on the outside of a guy, and Bowman still would have been behind to push him through. Now after Chase got by, um, I think Brad backed himself up to Bowman, and Bowman instead of pushing Brad, went inside to pass him, so he didn't push him back past Elliott. I think Brad was just kind of hoping that Bowman would try to do something also to still try and win the race. And at that point, Bowman probably believed, well, my shot to win is over. I'm not going to push Brad past Chase. I don't think there was really much of a anything else Brad could have done after Chase got by. Only thing Brad needed was probably another Ford or a teammate up there to help him. But I think once Chase got by, there was nothing Brad could do. But I think either way, Chase is either getting to the outside of him or inside of him, no matter which way he goes.
Yeah, I agree that it was going to be difficult to hold Elliott back. I just feel like the plan was to back up to Bowman and have him give him some kind of a shove and give him some momentum, whether he wanted to or not. And obviously, Bowman made a good move to get around him rather than just absorb that, momentum push to send the six forward. I just felt like Brad probably could have been a little more aggressive there, was my opinion. But you could be right. There might not have been a move there really available for him.
Yeah.
Those are really the only things that stood out to me this week. Is there anything else that hit you from the cup race?
Um, Not really from the Cup race. I just thought it was a great overall race. NASCAR.com or NASCAR YouTube, whatever, has the final 10 laps up on their YouTube. And just when you specifically watch Chase Elliott from running eighth with 10 to go, claw his way back up to win the race, I just feel like it was just an incredible ending to a great race.
Yeah, I agree. It was a good race, good finish. In spite of the fact that NASCAR's most boring driver won, I got no complaints about it. Um, did you watch any of the other two series over the weekend?
Um, I watched them both. I don't think the trucks need to go to Lime Rock. That was pretty. Once they got single file, I don't think there was any passes for under green flag racing. So, um, Corey Heim led 99 of 100 laps, and I think he had the fastest lap, so he got his max points. The only lap he didn't lead was on a restart, and I think Lane Riggs inched him out at the start finish line. So, um, see, Nick Sanchez got his first win at Atlanta with the Xfinity Series. For some reason, I'm not remembering too much of the race. I think that one ended up going late, and I think I was nodding in and out. So I think it was still a decent race, but I don't remember too much from it.
Didn't stick out like a cup race did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, boy, I feel like we kind of covered it this week. I mean, I don't have anything to complain about. It's not the normal, oh, dirty air stinks. Oh, we got to grade this race on a curve, any of the rest of that. It was a good race. I got no complaints about it. A fan favorite won, somebody that you expect to see win throughout the season, and somebody that you expected to get a victory this year. And the playoff cut line is going to move, and all that. Well, I mean, I don't know how much it's going to move because he was already in on points as it was.
Yeah, he was the first
But
driver in on points, so it didn't really hurt anything below him.
but we got the Chicago Street Course coming up. We got Sonoma, Dover, Indy. I mean, there's some. I don't want to call them wild cards because that just gets overused. But there's some racetracks where you could see more new winners. Basically, is what I'm getting at,
Yeah.
and it's going to be interesting to see that. I assume that you're going to stick with your preliminary pick of SVG. Um, you're gonna make me pick somebody like Ty Gibbs to try to compete with him or something like that, and I'm not looking forward to that at all. I don't want to have to root for that 54 car. Um, maybe I'll just pull a Denny Hamlin and stay home this week. Uh, yeah, I guess I don't really have much more to say then. Do you?
Oh, that's all I got.
That's all I got too. Appreciate everybody watching, listening, and trying to find out what our thoughts were this week after a great Atlanta race. I do think that it was a very good race. I think it probably got a little extra hype than it deserved on the online, and I think that that just speaks to how starved NASCAR fans are for good racing. And we finally saw some that was pretty decent, and I'm happy about that. And hopefully, we're able to continue that with the Chicago Street Course, but it's not going to be exactly what I'm looking for, regardless. I can already tell you that right off the bat. But I guess that's what we'll just have to see, and we'll talk to you guys after that.